Native American spouses. And then later generations, you had men and women, both sides, who were Spanish Native American folks. And a lot of what they cooked in the kitchen and a lot of their family traditions kind of reflect both heritages here in Florida, and still do to this day. Carol, I got myself sidetracked. Where was I heading?
You started talking about the different
The original
tribes.
Native Americans, yeah. There was, I said there were 300 years of Spanish territory. There was a 20-year period that Spain ceded Florida to Britain, to England. And right dead center of that 20-year period is the year 1776. Everybody thinks, oh, wouldn't it be neat to live in one of the original British colonies in the United States, you know? Well, congratulations. That's where you're living right now. There weren't 13 colonies when the Revolutionary War started. There were 15 British colonies. How many can name the additional two that never get mentioned? Well, they were East Florida and West Florida. East Florida with its capital in St. Augustine, and West Florida with its capital in Pensacola. And West Florida went all the way to the Mississippi River. The Panhandle went all the way to the Mississippi River. And that was Florida territory. Eventually, the United States got real interested in obtaining Florida from the Spanish. They weren't sure Florida would fight. The Spanish would fight to keep Florida, so they kind of experimented. They kind of gave under the table permission to a very aggressive young general to invade Florida, because these Florida Indians, as they called them, were coming across the line into what's part of the colonies up north of us, and part of the United States, and killing people and stealing cattle and things like that. So young Andrew Jackson brought his troops into Florida, which was not consistent with international law at the time. And he destroyed much of the horse crop and cattle crop of, at that point, Seminole Indians north of here. They were in central and north Florida at that time. The Seminoles came down here from Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, and they were a quite civilized tribe. They weren't called Seminoles up there, though. But they built log cabins, is what they lived in. And Native Americans north of Florida had better than 200 years of commerce with Europeans before they came down here. So they had picked up a lot of, well, cotton was one of the main things they got. Cookware, and weapons and things like that. But there were thousands of ships that took items that the Native Americans north of Florida were selling to the Spanish and other Europeans, particularly the Spanish. In the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, what was it they were selling? Anybody know? Well, the main thing they were selling were deer hides. And if you look at your go to the museums in Europe and look at the old fashioned, you'll see a lot of deer hide footwear, deer hide clothing, furniture covers, very popular. But the other major item was deer antlers. Now, deer shed their antlers each year, and so the Native Americans would go out and harvest. There were several tribes that did this. They'd harvest those, fill canoes, and there were no roads you could do commerce like that on. Everything was by canoes. So virtually all their towns, the Native American towns up in Georgia and Alabama and everywhere, ended up being on waterways so they could do the canoe commerce with the Europeans. And that group of Native Americans came to be called the Creek Indians because they moved all their towns to creeks. But why were deer antlers such a popular item, such a valuable item? Anybody have an idea? What?
Maybe romance or hair colors?
Not too bad a guess, but no.
Buttons.
Buttons, how'd you know that? You take a deer's antler and you slice it in thin slices, you'll get little round buttons. Near the top of the antler, it'll have 2 soft spots you can punch out. Near the bottom, it'll have 3 soft spots you can punch out. Because the antler is a growing thing, it has a blood supply that comes up through the center. That's why the soft spots are there. And, you know, they develop a felt on it and all that. And you can take those, you slice them, and then you polish them. They polish beautifully. And then you get perfectly matched buttons. And they'll be slightly decreasing or increasing in size, too, because they come in slices off the end. And if you look at any of the old European fashions, you'll see those buttons. The Seminoles came down